Hello, everyone, and welcome to this premiere episode of Sound Bath Sundays live on YouTube. It's the first day that I am going to be actually transmitting live for you from this platform. I am very, very excited, and hopefully, you'll be joining me soon every Sunday, or you can watch the replay here, or if you still love Facebook, you can still watch the replay over there. Without further ado, let's get started today. I'm going to talk about thriving regardless of what is. Now, here's the thing. During this 2020, I've been talking for a while about the fact that there's amazing energies coming into the planet that are going to be supporting us in our thriving, in our success, in actually making our dreams reality. For that to happen, we have to first be very clear as to what it is that we want. So, before we go into that, we need to get some things cleared, right? We need to know that not everything will be going our way all the time. There are other people involved, there are other opinions, other people creating their own reality. So what's happening is that we all co-create reality together, but sometimes we do not all agree as to what that reality should be. Now, first of all, let me thank you for being here today and for choosing to spend this time with me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah Martinez, and I have been teaching people how to hack their life, create health, create vibrancy, vibrant health, and abundance and prosperity in their lives for over 10 years now. I've been doing sound healing for over 20 years, and I have taught over 4,000 people how to speed read. I love speed read, not because of what it does for you in terms of accelerating your reading speed, but because of what I call the side effects of speed reading. And those side effects are part of syncing your hemispheres, your brain hemispheres, and allowing you to have like a whole brain outlook on life so that you can come up with amazing solutions to challenges in your life that may seem like magic. Anyway, I thank you for spending this time with me. And how many of you have thought at one point, I would be thriving if only this and such would happen? Or I would be happy if this person would act in such and such way, right? Right. How so many of us were like, if only this person would do this, I would be happy. If only I would get this into my life, I would be happy. If only I would make $1 million, I would be happy. Well, I am here to tell you, and I'm sure you have heard it before because this is starting to become very mainstream ever since The Secret, that it's not about waiting for those things to happen. You have to create that feeling before that happens so that whatever you want to show up in your life will actually show up. It's a matter of frequency and vibration, right? Like attracts like. And so when we put ourselves in a frequency that is vibrating at that same frequency, right, we're going to be attracting our desires to us. Now, the first time someone told me that I had created my reality, I got very angry. Very, very angry. I thought, why? And I literally exploded on that person. I was like, yeah, of course I wanted to get divorced. Of course I wanted the whole experience to happen. Of course not. I did not want that. And it took me a long time to understand that what you fear the most, you attract. Because it's not about what you think consciously that's usually going to show up. It's about who you are being that's going to show up. It's about what beliefs you have that create subconscious thoughts that are predominant throughout your day that will be attracting whatever shows up in your life. So whatever thing you're fearing, whatever thing you're talking about the most is what that you don't even know that you're talking about. So if you spend your life complaining about a situation, well, that situation is just going to keep showing itself up. And that is mainly the reason why I do not like or agree completely with talk therapy. I'm sure it works for some people, but I have literally seen a bunch of my friends go through therapy for years. And I'm talking not 2 years or three, I'm talking about 20, 30 years of going to therapy religiously each week and still trying to figure their lives out, still trying to get rid of the original issue that came up in the first place. Because if you talk about it the next week, then what do you think you're going to get the following week? The same thing that you're focusing on, because what you focus on expands. I also realized that we don't consciously create what happens to us. And of course, nobody wants to have a tragic or horrible situation or an accident happen to us, right? None of us want the fires in Australia. Well, maybe the people who lit the fires, but in general, the majority of us don't want the fires in California, in Australia, the earthquakes to happen, the natural disasters. We don't want any of that to be happening. And nevertheless, things do happen. And they happen for different reasons. They happen because they are sort of an alarm that's ringing, that's calling for our attention, saying it's time to change your behavior. They're also our fears, and they're also what we're focusing on. Because the more we focus on the fires, the more fires show up. And it's not about not focusing on them and not taking action, but if you're not going to be the person that it's going to be taking action for stopping them, you should not be watching images of burnt animals and lost homes, because that literally lowers your vibrational frequency and keeps the situation going for longer than it should. So there's a Hermetic law that states, as above, so below, as inside, so outside. So in the same vein, whatever we have programmed in our subconscious is what we're projecting, because we are human antennas. And so we project these beliefs out into the world, and we keep attracting the similar beliefs or the things that support those beliefs, so that, guess what? So that we can be right. Because human beings, we love to be right. And ask yourself, do I love to be right? Don't you love it when you have the right answer? Because guess what? Getting the right answer in school was the best thing ever. You'd get the star because you knew the answer. And didn't you actually go to school to learn because you didn't know the answers? And now you're expected to know the answers for everything? Well, unfortunately, our educational system is all messed up. And I will do an episode on the educational system one of these days, but that will mostly be a total rant. So I'm not sure I want to do that. But the thing is that nobody was rewarded for asking the questions, for asking the right questions, for asking the questions that would stump the teacher. How many of you got chastised for asking too many questions when you were growing up? And wasn't it your sense of curiosity that was asking these questions? Your desire to know more that was asking these questions, that got stumped because we were told that we should not ask our questions, that we should not speak out of turn, and we should never, never put our teacher in evidence that they didn't know, right? Because it's a matter of ego. If you ask the question and the teacher didn't know the answer, instead of saying, oh, well, I don't know that. There were very few teachers, right? Maybe more nowadays. I pray. I don't know that answer. Why don't we all find out? Why don't we go look and research and find out? There are now more models of education that are coming up these days that encourage that. But in general, it's you're rewarded when you have the answer, not when you have the magnificent question. And see, here it's all about asking the question and allowing the universe to answer. But we'll get to that in a minute. So here's the thing, Hermetic law states that whatever is so above, so below, so inside, so outside. We as human beings, like I said, we're antennas, and we also have a system of recording in our cells. So we get imprints that record thoughts, behaviors, beliefs that come handed down from generation to generation. And it depends on where you were born, what family you were born to, even what area of the city that you live in. And it gets handed down generation by generation. And until we make a conscious decision to break those patterns, they kind of hold us hostage. Have you ever been told that you're just like your mom or you're just like your dad? And you go, no, of course not. So many people go, oh, I am not like my father and I am not like my mother. And they get very defensive. And that is because they don't know what they don't know. They don't even realize they're having these sorts of behaviors, right? There have been times when I have been moving my hand and all of a sudden I feel like my grandmother. And it's because I am moving my fingers exactly how my grandmother would move hers. Now, did I learn that from her when I was little? Perhaps. I haven't had my grandmother for 15, 16, 17 years now. And I didn't live with her the previous, 10, 15, maybe 20 years before she passed. So did I learn that when she was little, or was that a cellular imprint that was left in my body so that I also do the same hand movements that my grandmother used to do? And was she doing those movements that were her grandmoms or her grandfathers or her great-great-great-grandfathers? Who knows, right? I'm never going to know. But do you find yourself doing certain things that your parents do? And do you all of a sudden realize that you have siblings and you're all completely different as well? Because we all kind of have our own little thing that we resonate more with, that we keep attracting. Now, when we have these beliefs, when we have these fears, for example, the thing that you fear the most, and you're continuously thinking how afraid you are of it, chances are it's the quickest thing you will attract into your life. So, because what you focus on expands. And if you have the majority of your thoughts like circling around the things you don't want, then you're going to be attracting more of that. A clear example is I do coaching, and I have a bunch of my coachees that come to me and have said, especially last year, I am going to focus on all my blockages and I'm going to eliminate them all. I'm going to dedicate myself to eliminate my blocks. And that is wonderful. However, the approach is not necessarily what's working, because if you're focusing on eliminating your blocks and all of a sudden you don't have any blocks, then all of a sudden you have lost your purpose because you have no more blocks to eliminate. So we don't, as human beings also, we do not like to feel useless or that we don't have a job to do or something of purpose or of value. So if you got rid of all of your blocks and that was your goal, then you'd have nothing left to do. Food for thought. So if you focus on, I am going to focus on my dreams and I'm going to spend the majority of my day daydreaming about what I would like to generate, daydreaming and imagining new ways of being more efficient about what I do so that I can accelerate my desires so that they show up in my life faster. If you start meditating more and just calming your mind, allowing divine inspiration to come to you, and when it actually does, you take immediate action on that divine inspiration and focus on what you do desire, then what do you think is going to happen? Yes, thank you. You'll accelerate your manifestations, or what my people in Access Consciousness say, your actualizations. Because manifestations is if it will happen, and actualization is that it actually happens. So your actualizations will become physical a lot quicker when you focus on ways to attract them, when you focus on the actual actualization of it, when you start focusing on how you would feel when that thing happened in your life and start feeling it now, you start attracting those things to you instead of spending your time fending off the giants. And those giants are created by our own imagination. So the minute we take our attention off the giants or those huge lions, they become tiny. They become a little kitty cat. And they are easily taken care of, and eventually they just go away. Now, I do understand that we hold blockages in our body. I'm not saying that that is not the case. We do hold them. Those are our subconscious blockages. But if you focus on them more than on what you'd like, then you're going to get more blockages. And if you let's say we got rid of all of the things we inherited, but we're still focusing on blockages, life is going to give us more blockages because it's giving us our purpose and something to do. All right. Now, so when you focus on what you would like instead of what you have at the moment, it's with the understanding that whatever is happening now is actually a product of your past thoughts. It's not a product of what you're thinking right now. So I know it becomes a little bit challenging at times to start focusing on La La Land, on your perfect scenario when things seem like they're falling apart all around you. But it becomes easier when you realize that what is happening on right now is a consequence of your past thoughts. See? So what you're thinking of now is going to create what's going to be happening in the future. And when you start detaching from that, and then you choose to be happy now, regardless of what's happening, you will attract more things to make you happy. And at first, it's a very challenging thing. I know, at least it was for me. If you can do it right away, kudos for you. For me, it was very difficult because I tend to wallow in the drama, right? I used to tend to go into the whole thing of what's happening now, and it is very difficult to this day when things happen that I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that this is happening. Right? I don't immediately go to, well, how did I create this? I just go to, oh my gosh, this is happening, as if something on the outside is creating it. And then, because I have these tools, I am able to detach from the drama and think, okay, well, what part am I playing in this? Because a lot of the times we believe, like, okay, if you're a woman or a man and you're believing that all women are blank or all men are blank. In our case, women, I'm more familiar with how we think, and I'm a lot familiar with how my friends think. And a lot of the times, and I was guilty of this, I'm like, all men cheat. Well, wow. What a blanket statement to make, right? All men cheat. And that is just not true. Not all men cheat. But when you make a blanket statement like that, what do you think you will attract? Do you think you're going to attract that one man who doesn't? No, you're going to attract somebody that will sooner or later cheat. Sometimes they weren't coming in with even that idea. But because you have that expectation, they kind of come and fill in for the job so that they can cheat and you can be right. Isn't it amazing? So you can be right that they are cheaters, and that supports your theory that all men cheat. And while this man could have been a marvelous man, it could have been almost maybe your soulmate, but because you were expecting him to cheat on you, sooner or later he will. And then you go, see, I can't trust men. Why? Because they all cheat. And so it creates a cycle that keeps repeating itself. So now if you stop yourself and ask, well, do 100% of men cheat? And then you have to get real and say, no, not 100% of men cheat, not 100% of women cheat. If you don't cheat, right? And then somebody tells you all women cheat, you'd be like, okay, well, no, right? And if you're a man who doesn't cheat and women tell you, well, all men cheat, you might get a little offended as well. So when we make these blanket statements and we want to have something different, well, that's not going to be conducive to get a different result. So how do we start thriving? How do we change that? Well, the way to do it is by controlling our hormones, believe it or not. So when we have certain thoughts, have you noticed if you start stressing about, let's say people have a fear of public speaking. So you have to give a speech. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it doesn't matter. However long, 10 seconds, people have fear of speaking in public. So if you have to stand up in the middle of a conference and ask a question, right? Now, doesn't your adrenaline start flowing? Don't you feel like the knot in your stomach, everything, the minute you think how it's going to be when you actually get up and ask that question? Well, you have these hormones running through your body, and sometimes they sabotage you. They make you go blank. They activate the fight or flight response that doesn't allow you to get to your prefrontal cortex, which is where you hold all your information. Have you ever studied for a test so much, and then shown up at the test and be so nervous about it because it was such an important test that you blanked out? And the minute you walked out, all of a sudden, all the answers came flooding your brain again. And you're like, oh my God, I knew this, but I just could not access the information. Yes, it's because when we have these hormones running through our body, it's almost like a iron door just gets shut down from your primitive brain, which is in the back part of your head, to the front where the prefrontal cortex is, where you have all the information, and there's simply no access to it. There's no way you can access that because you're worried about getting eaten, right? The fear is real. You get fight or flight because you believe either that thing's going to eat me, I'm going to eat it, or we're going to have a relationship. Right? So is it a potential mate? Is it I'm going to eat it, or is it going to eat me? And based on that, because it's a fear of the unknown, your hormones start running through your body. Now, when you realize the danger is over, the thing opens up, and then all the answers keep flooding right back through. So the same thing happens when bad situations are happening all around you. If you keep focusing on that, you're getting more of that until it finally falls away of its own weight, because you'll start slowly thinking less about it or focusing on finding the solutions. And when you start focusing on finding the solutions instead of the challenge, that's when things start to kind of dissolve or solve themselves. So how can we accelerate the process? Well, first of all, controlling your emotions. When you start getting stressed, you can do a couple of things. You can start breathing. Have you noticed when you're stressed how your breathing gets very, very shallow? Have you noticed when you're concentrating on something, sometimes you even stop breathing? Well, you're actually starving your brain of oxygen. So if you're in a state of stress and anguish and you are breathing shallow, the thing to do is, because we're in a state of mental stress, Einstein said that you cannot solve the problem from the same level from which it was created. And I'm paraphrasing, okay? If you want to know exactly what he said, go Google it. But that's basically it. You cannot solve the problem from the same place that it was created. So if you're creating a mental problem by thinking, overthinking, overstressing, and then creating a physical response from your body, it is almost impossible to change that response from your mind. However, you can change it from your body and send the signal to your mind that it can relax. So it's counterintuitive, but it's so much easier. So what you do is slow breathing. Start breathing in 4 times. Hold for 1 or 2 counts. And then let it go for 3 or 4 counts. Try to make it even then. 4 in, hold 2, 4 out, hold 2, and make it like a little dance. 4 counts in, hold 2, 4 counts out, hold 2, 4 counts in, hold 2, 4 counts out, hold 2. If you do something like that and you start slowing your breath, allowing the oxygen to fill your brain, you will immediately, or almost immediately, within 17 seconds, you'll turn off your sympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for releasing the adrenaline and cortisol and all the stress hormones into your body. You turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, and feel-good hormones start coursing through your body. So then you're able to not have your brain be hijacked by hormones. The other thing, like I said before, is focusing on what you would like to happen, not what is happening at the moment. Allow yourself to daydream. Allow yourself to imagine how something would feel. Imagine it from beginning to end. Imagine, I have so many coaches that do that visualization of the perfect day. How you wake up and what's going to happen that day, how you're going to be so excited about what's going to happen, what breakfast you're going to have, and then everything that's going to happen throughout the day until that event actually happens. And then you just visualize it in the most magnificent way. And then chances are you are going to get, if not that, something even better show up in your life. So focus on what makes you feel good and make a decision to feel good no matter what is going on. That has been an amazing thing that I have been able to practice. And every day just happens faster and faster, no matter what is going on. And believe me, I've had a very rough year. So I've had a lot of instances to practice this tool. But this year has been starting with amazing energies. It's been wonderful. And even though it has already been wonderful, it's only been, 10, 12 days of the new year. The energies are amazing. Really amazing things are happening. But certain cycles are getting closed off and then ending. So if I were to focus on those cycles that are ending, I would just make them even longer. So I choose to just detach from them, acknowledge them. It's also not a question of ignoring it or pretending that it isn't there, right? When you acknowledge what is, you take away the resistance from it. When you stop fighting what is and trying to pretzel it and make it into something else, then you literally dissolve the resistance of it. And when that happens, everything becomes so much easier. Now, in order to support you in your journey of accepting what is, I'm going to bring in Harry, my boyfriend, Harry. This is my handpan, Harry, my boyfriend of the beautiful sounds. And we are going to go into our sound bath. Oh, hold on, because he's steel and I'm wearing a dress and it's very cold. I put him on my legs and it's like, woo! Okay, it's very, very cold. So, beautiful. All right, so I invite you to put your feet flat on the floor, sitting down, straighten your back, keep your spine straight, then place your palms facing up on your thighs and do a quick scan. And if you would like to do that, well, you can do that with eyes open or eyes closed. A lot of people, I like to go in eyes closed and really connect within. Do a quick scan, top to bottom, bottom to top. Where are you holding your tension? Are you holding it on your sits bones? Are you holding it in your throat? Are you holding it in your mind? Are you on that treadmill of continuous thoughts that don't let you be? Are you holding it in your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your heart, your solar plexus, your stomach? Do you have digestion problems because you're holding everything is so tight, it doesn't even allow you to have a normal digestive process because you're so stressed out? And then choose to let it go. If you start feeling the edges of your body where the tiny little hair touch the ether, but you do it from the inside out, it immediately creates a lot of space inside of you. So when you do that, we're going to do 3 to 6 cleansing breaths, whatever you feel is best for you. And these are by inhaling through your nose. And we're going to do that 4-2-4-2 count. We're going to inhale in 4 counts through our nose, hold for 1 or 2 counts. Let's try for 2. That feels organic. If it's too much, obviously don't do it. Just do what's natural, and eventually you'll get to that 4-2-4 cycle or 6-3-6 cycle or even longer. But let's start with the basic 4-2-4-2. Then you hold for 2, you exhale with a big a big sigh. And when you exhale like that, feel how good that feels in your body. You'll start feeling tingling of the cells because they're getting nourished with the oxygen. And then you hold for 2 and you start the cycle again. And you can do this for 3 or 6 counts, whatever feels best for you. Let me just turn this off. There we go, just in case. Breathe. Keep breathing on your own time, whatever feels good to you. Breathe in. Hold for 2 and hold for 2 and start again. Still thinking too much? Place a dot on that part of your brain where your thoughts are being formed. Gently slide that dot down into your heart center and allow it to rest there and blend with the love in your heart. That infinite love that gets created on demand. If you feel you're back in your head again, without forcing, without pushing, shoving, gently just drag that dot right back down and down and deep breath. Take a deep breath. Gently, when you're ready, in your own time, start wiggling your toes. Do a few cleansing breaths and let go. Shake it out and open your eyes when you're ready. Thank you so much for being here today. Slowly get back into your bodies. Feel the energy, that peace that you felt. May that peace accompany you throughout your day today. Now you know how to connect with your inner peace. Whenever you feel like you're getting thrown off center, take a moment or two and just step away from the issue. Just close your eyes, feel your hands, see where your thoughts, if you're in your thoughts, bring them down into your heart. That will allow your blood pressure to come down, your adrenaline and cortisol to just taper off. Bring you back into homeostasis, back into a place of peace. You'll be able to think more clearly, make better choices and better decisions for your life. And this year, it's all about remaining in your center, right? Not allowing anything to throw you off. It may throw you off for a second, but you'll be able to come into the eye of the hurricane. Every hurricane has an eye, whether it's tiny or big. The more you practice, the bigger your eye will be, and the less of the hurricane will be until there be no more hurricane, right? You'll expand your eye until the hurricane just poof, dissolves. So it's all about remaining centered. If you want to find out more about how to do that and keep that going in your life, send me a message or send me an email at info@vocaltapestry.com, info@vocaltapestry.com, and I'll be sure to reply to all your messages. Also, if you are in the New York area, and especially if you speak Spanish, we are doing a mostly Spanish. I will translate if there's English speakers there, but it's mostly for Spanish-speaking people in New York City. I am teaming up with a wonderful artist named Kakaya. She is an artist who paints with her eyes closed. And her theme is painting with the soul's eyes. And she makes these amazing paintings that you would never think that somebody did them with eyes closed. And she will be teaching us in that workshop. Well, not me. I'm going to be doing my bit and doing the sound bath. But you're going to be doing that, painting with eyes closed, whatever your soul is wanting to express without any pressure or anything, with the help of the sound healing. So it's going to be epic. It's something that we're doing, and the theme is gratitude. It's going to be taking place at We Work On. I don't know the address. I'll put the link below later, but it's on Broadway and 41st Street at the WeWork offices on the 15th floor. It's an amazing place we have that has been given to us for us to do these workshops. WeWork has kindly donated the space so that we can do this and make it really, really affordable for people to actually come. It's only going to be $45. So for like an hour and a half or 2 hours of bliss. So if you're in New York City, come see us, send me a message, send me an email. I'll send you all the information. It's going to be so amazing. And today, make sure you drink lots of water. Astrologically, there's planets coming into alignment. It would take me a whole show to talk about all this. I'll probably do a live on it. But the solar, just note how interesting this is. The solar plexus of the earth, because the earth has chakras as well as we do, right? As Hermetic law. As above, so below, as inside, so outside. We have chakras. The earth has chakras. The third chakra of the earth is getting activated today. Where do you think the third chakra is? But in Australia. Ooh. Anyway, so drink lots of water. Allow your body to really cool down. If you're in a cold environment, don't overdo it, but just drink a lot of water. Even if it's room temperature, do not get too cold, but just allow your body to really just be very, very hydrated. Anyway, I love you very much. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I will see you next Sunday. Take care.